outages continue to ripple across the Midwest. 4 million without power in Texas, and the numbers continue to grow. The latest updates on that. Stocks continue to rally. Is this a continual bull market, or is there a bear in sight? Meantime, Bitcoin reaches its highest levels ever as no less than three major financial institutions jump in behind Bitcoin. Could Bitcoin go higher? Then a V-shaped recovery. Analysts that have been covering your stimulus now say that a V-shaped recovery could be in the works. It just defies prior logic, thinking that we're heading to a K-shaped recovery. Could a V-shape be heading as well? I have all the details. And finally, a stimulus fight. A stimulus fight is brewing up between the GOP and the Republic and the Democrats that ultimately will not impact the passage of stimulus, but could impact the Biden administration. And what issue is it over? Schools. I have all those details and more on a major morning's recording of Mornings LALate. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and welcome to LALate, the most comprehensive and most in-depth and interactive financial news channel online. From Wall Street to Main Street, from my home to your home, thank you for joining me on a Mornings LA broadcast. It's on the West Coast here in Los Angeles, a little bit warm, certainly warmer than much of the rest of the country. The Southwest Power Tool, which controls the power grid for 14 states, said that rotating outages will continue for a second day. They cover outages and the grid for 14 states. And among the states they cover are North Dakota and Oklahoma. Outages will continue for another day, and there's no question and no certainty as to how long this will continue. The temperatures in Texas will warm up for a day or two, but are set to fall again later this week. Meantime, President Joe Biden has approved an emergency declaration for Texas amid growing concerns about how fast and how consistent these outages could continue. There's currently 4 million without power, as reported first on Early Mornings LA today. Texas temperatures will rise shortly, but then drop significantly by Thursday. So there's concerns this can continue. Neil Chatterjee, member of the U.S. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, issued a statement obtained by LA News minutes ago, which said, I've been following the energy market and grid issues for a while, and I cannot recall an extreme weather event that impacted such a large swath of the nation in this manner. The situation is critical. Meantime, if you're going on social media this morning, the two words Highland Park are trending. If you know, Highland Park refers to two cities across this country. One, an area of Los Angeles County east of downtown Los Angeles, but that's not the Highland Park that's trending. The Highland Park that's trending is the opulent, wealthy area of Dallas, Texas, where several members of the Real Housewives of Dallas live. That opulent area is under fire today with questions about why Highland Park has no power outages, but poor areas around it do. Questions and are still remain unanswered as you start the new morning. Bob Orak, senior branch forecaster of the U.S. Weather Prediction Center, says it's a pretty brutal air mass. The cold air is entrenching across the middle part of the country. High temperatures are amassing cold, some 50 degrees below average. The cold temperature will continue to unravel as your third stimulus package arrives in the Senate, and the cold shoulder could be coming from fellow Democrats. No less than 3 Democrats over the weekend indicated they will vote against the third stimulus package when it lands in the Senate, and that landing will occur around February 22nd. The House will approve the $1.9 trillion stimulus package from Joe Biden on February 22nd, no later than that date. And then it will land in the the Senate on February 22nd. But no less than 3 Democratic leaders say, hey, the items are too small, they are expiring, and they're not written right. We want to modify it. And that's what senators do. And if you've been longtime viewers of this channel, you know that senators often modify language and make things go bigger and bolder. In fact, it was the efforts of senators who got a stimulus check into the second stimulus package. It wasn't supposed to be in there. So this may be ultimately the window of opportunity for the viewers of this channel to get bigger stimulus, to get bigger FPUC when the bill lands in the Senate on February 22nd. Currently, it's $1,400 stimulus check for individuals, $2,800 for a married couple, $1,400 for children, $1,400 for adult dependents. There is a $3,600 stimulus check for 5-year-olds to newborns, $3,000 from 17-year-olds to 6-year-olds. And if a family of 7 is around, well, with those 7 kids under age of 5, you could get $35,000 in stimulus. That's $5,000 a child. A college student will get $1,700 in financial aid, $1,700 on top of the $1,400. So he or she will see $3,100 as his stimulus check. Meantime, if a hazard pay or essential worker who worked in the pandemic will see $1,500 plus $1,400, $2,900, because that individual will get a $1,500 earned income tax credit if they made less than $25,000 during the pandemic. Those numbers, however, are creating some confusion and some disbelief among viewers who wonder, why is that $1,500 being paid next year, not this year? More about that in a second. Stocks continue to take a roaring morning on Wall Street. CVS Health reported quarterly earnings this morning. They came in at 1.30 a share, 6 cents above what Wall Street was estimating. And this has, of course, been led by COVID vaccines in the locations. Earnings beats continued with AutoNation. The big auto retailer beat estimates by 42 cents a share. Wow. With a quarterly profit of $2.43 a share. Revenues also beat estimates, and that's because they had short inventory during the holiday season. AutoNation also announced a $1 billion share repurchase plan. Meantime, Facebook is making news this morning. The tech giant is announcing a stopwatch, a smartwatch. What will it do? It'll feature health and fitness information and technology website. And this incredible device could be rolling out as early as next year. Let's turn to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is shocking Wall Street this morning. I told you on Early Mornings LATE that no less than 3 companies have gotten behind Bitcoin in recent days. Those are Tesla, MasterCard. I told you the city of Miami announced that it's accepting Bitcoin for its services locally. And now the new additions this morning are PayPal and BNY Mellon will support crypto as well. Bitcoin has now raised its price to over $50,000 for the first time in history. It passed that benchmark at about 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast. It's trading about 0.6% higher. What's the reaction? Michael Saylor, CEO of enterprise software MicroStrategy, told news this morning, I think Bitcoin is a bit more stable than it was 3 years ago. It used to be dominated by leverage retailer traders on international markets with a lot of leveraging. I think that starting in March of 2020, you saw institutions starting to arrive, and I think in 2021 you're going to see that trend continue. They're enthusiastic for Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, but I personally believe the compelling use case is store of value. Meantime, what about your stimulus and a V-shaped recovery? Well, part of the issue when we talk about the recovery of this economy has been whether it's V-shaped or K-shaped. What's the difference? K-shape refers to a K-shape, and at the bottom of the K, it says that people who are the middle class get poor and fall into the poverty level. Whereas V-shape means that everyone recovers together. People were here before the pandemic started. They fell into an abyss, a vortex when the pandemic roared, and then we all recovered together. V-shaped recovery is what you want. It basically refers to a broad stroke recovery for all sectors of the U.S. economy. For seniors, for people on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits who have not gotten Their voices heard so far under the Biden administration that's gone silent on the $200 a month. For people who are young kids, for new business owners like Uber and Lyft and drivers that are Schedule Cs, for W-2 people, for people who are laid off, for people who are facing long-term unemployment. A new promising report that's very interesting and great news this morning says we could see a V-shaped recovery. The only reason to be bearish is that there's no reason to be bearish, says Bank of America's chief strategist Michael Harnott this morning. Bank of America surveyed 225 mutual funds, and the survey has been around for over 2 decades. And what are the findings? It's all really good news. It said that 90% of investors believe that this year will be a V-shaped recovery. Wow. And that the recovery will be very strong in the later part of 2021. This is really great news. This is the first time since January 2020 that chief investment officers want to increase spending more than is on the balance sheet. That's number two. Third, cash is off the table. Cash allocation, where you keep cash on the side because you're fearful of a stock of a market bubble, is shrinking because they think the situation is getting better. Cash is down to 3.8%, the lowest since March 2013. And this is because of allocation of stocks and commodities have risen to their highest level in 2011, meaning people are going to equities because they think that the V-shaped recovery may already be starting. This shows a preference towards cyclical stock, commodities, emerging markets, and banks, more than you've ever seen in the last decade. And only 13% of respondents said that we're in a market bubble. Finally, a stimulus fight is underway, and the stimulus fight is very fascinating. Now, understand that when the bill lands in the Senate, the Democrats will ultimately determine the fate of the bill. It's not the Republicans. The Democrats have enough votes because of a reconciliation those past 2 weeks ago. All they need is every Democrat on board to vote in favor of the $1.9 trillion stimulus package bill, and it becomes law shortly after it lands in the Senate on February 22nd. The question is whether they have all the Democrats. Well, we already know that Ron Wyden, a Democrat out of Oregon, will not vote in favor of the bill for four major reasons. One, FPUC is currently set at $400 a week. He says it should be $600 a week. The Biden administration has given no explanation why it shows $400 a week, a number that was supported by the Trump administration and disavowed and rejected by the Pelosi camp through all of 2020. Number two, he does not support the expiration of FPUC in August, saying that economic factors should determine where FPUC goes. Ultimately, he says that items of the third stimulus package should not expire at all. Rather, they should be tied to economic conditions. This, ironically, is consistent with what the Biden camp's economic team has actually said, but inconsistent with the bill. The bill does have items expiring in August for reasons that, again, the Biden administration has not explained. But the Biden's economic team says that in August, the economy will not be back to normal, that unemployment rates will not improve. Rather, unemployment will not be back to normal until next year, says Janet Leon, Chief Treasury Secretary to Joe Biden. Finally, the last issue is whether items can get modified. With 1 minute to go, let me tell you the big update. That's a big fight among Republicans and Democrats right now. It's ironically the schools. There is concern and belief that the Biden administration tailored back its policy about reopening schools within 100 days in just the last 4 days as a result to big labor, and that ultimately people are frustrated that kids are not in school, and that the Biden administration continues to walk back policies as amid big labor's concern. This is consistent with the concern over the weekend that airlines were supposed to restrict travel in a certain way unless you did COVID testing. But ultimately, after meeting with big labor from airlines and transportation, the Biden administration said, no, we're going to let you travel. I'll have more about those details happening at 12 noon on Home L8. With the markets up slightly on the new day, Bitcoin continued to trend upward. and Wall Street trying to grapple with this cold freeze across the Midwest. I'll see you at 12 noon with the continuation of LLA. Stay informed, stay focused. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. See you at 12 noon.